With interest rates coming down really quickly, both here and in the States, and some huge regulatory changes that we've seen that actually help buyers get back into the market, it still seems like our market is a bit sluggish. Headlines are all over the place. You can read headlines that say the market is starting to pick up, but also from the exact same outlets, you can also hear that the market is in terrible shape. So which one is it? Let's break it down with the actual numbers and get to the bottom of it. Let's get into it. Hi, my name is Adam Nadler. I am the owner of Vision Real Estate. Thanks so much for tuning in again. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button down below this video. And don't forget to hit the like button so this video can be pushed out to more people like yourself. And if you have any questions about real estate and you'd like to have a chat with me, feel free to use the first link in the description below. That'll connect you to a calendar where you can book a time to chat with me at a time that is most convenient for you. Or feel free to just shoot me any question you have to adam@visionrealestate.ca and I will send you a custom video response within 24 hours. Okay, so let's jump right into it. We have a ton of pumping and a ton of fear mongering on both sides, and it's really hard to tell what's actually happening in the market. The truth is it's somewhere right in between, and different asset classes are acting differently depending on what price brackets they're in. But first, let's go over some market forecasts that I found to be a little ridiculous. And to kick it all off, let's start with Royal LePage, which is actually where my company is housed. So I found this report to be a little bit ridiculous. The Royal LePage 2024 market forecast put the GTA at a whopping 10% increase year over year for Q4 of this year. Really? Come on, guys. Get it together. We all know we're not going to see a 10% increase in Q4 for the GTA, but what actually will it be? Will it be an increase? Will it be a decrease? Or will it largely just stay the same on average? And so far, what we've seen is just a flat market. Everything's staying roughly the same. When we look into different price brackets and different asset classes, that changes. We'll get into that. But overall, things seem to be pretty flat. Year over year sales for August were down about 5.3%, but month over month, they didn't really change at all. It was up 0.6%. Now, the average selling price basically didn't move. Year over year, it was down 0.8%. And month over month, it was as well down 0.8%. Total new listings year over year is up 1.5%, and the sales to new listings ratio is down 2%. And when you zoom out and take a look at the overall graph, well, it just looks like we've had kind of a pretty flat market for the last little while. But with the recent interest rate decreases, and the new regulation that we've seen happen over this last month, a lot of consumer confidence is starting to return to the market. If you didn't see my last podcast, I'll just show you a quick little clip here talking about the recent changes that the government made to insured mortgages.
Really, what it does is just, like you said, increase, number one, the buying power for any first-time home buyer out there. And two, it's going to effectively reduce their monthly payments. There are caveats to everything. So with a reduced monthly payment, what does that mean? We're extending out the amortization from 25 years to 30 years. Amortization means the amount of time it takes to repay the mortgage. And from the past, I think 2012 onwards, the maximum amount of time we could extend our mortgage for is 25 years when we're putting less than 20% down. As of December 15th, the proposed change is that we get to extend it out to 30 years. So again, it does two things, like you mentioned. Number one, it's going to increase buying power by, depending on how much you make, somewhere around between $40,000 and $50,000 per household. Two, even though we're increasing that buying power by about 40-ish thousand bucks, your monthly payment's actually going to be lower than what it is today with $40,000 less of affordability. So it's exciting. There's pros and cons to everything, but I would say for most, it is a welcome change to see these amortizations being extended. And also, last thing they did is besides the amortization, we can now put less than 20% down for a purchase up to 1.5 million bucks, where the ceiling, the cap was before was $1 million. So especially in markets like the GTA, it's a welcome change for buyers.
This is definitely going to help pick things up, and we've seen just the news alone start to pick up buyer activity. However, when we start to look at particular asset classes, that's when we start to actually see the difference. As I'm sure you all know, condos are a big problem right now. Year over year for Q2, condo sales were down by 19.8%, but the average selling price was only down 1.2%. And for condos in particular, we've just seen a lot more inventory, meaning a lot longer of a time to sell on the market. Total new listings are up year over year by 36.5%. The sales to new listings ratio is down by 23%. And of course, that means days on market is up by 30%. Overall, it seems that if you're going to market, you should expect it to take about at least a month to sell. And that's if you're priced correctly. So overall, just based on the stats, without pumping up like Roy LePage did, or without fear mongering like the news does for clicks, is the market in good shape or in bad shape? I think when we look at the overall picture, it's important for us to actually put things into context and perspective. Toronto and the GTA is a complete anomaly when it comes to real estate markets. If you were to look at any other city in North America or Canada, other than, of course, something like Vancouver, our real estate market is always just kind of nuts. Torontonians look at things like taking a month to sell as a terrible market, when overall, if you were to say that to anybody else around the world, that's not bad. Our months of inventory is still only at 3.3. And to explain quickly what that means, it's basically just a consumption rate. How quickly are sales taking homes off the market versus how many are coming onto the market? It's a very simple calculation. All you do is you take the current amount of inventory and divide it by the average number of sales happening. This gives you a consumption rate. This is really important to look at because if you just look at sales alone, it doesn't actually paint a real picture of what's going on. You have to look at it as a ratio of exactly how many houses are on the market or coming onto the market as well. The closer to zero you get, the hotter the market is. And for any other market, worldwide or North America or in the States, anywhere you really look, having a consumption rate of 3.3 is pretty good. Torontonians need to readjust what they feel is good and bad because our market is just so anomalous and has been for at least the last decade. So overall, should you be listening to the hype or the fear mongering? The truth is, in my opinion, it's actually somewhere in the middle. Our market is trending in a pretty healthy direction overall, or at least that's what the data says. Over the last couple of years, we've seen two major factors pushing in opposite directions of home values. We've seen immigration surging demand for housing, while at the same time seeing rapidly increasing interest rates pushing demand down. So we've had opposing forces, and this has largely stabilized price. And of course, we have a ton of condos on the market at least. So the real question is, do we have a housing shortage or not? It seems like no one can really decide. Well, despite what our government seems to tell everybody about how many buildings they're actually building, how many units of housing they're actually constructing, because over the last 9 years, it seems to be the same story from the Liberals that they're just going to build a zillion houses for everybody to live in, the real numbers are not so great. According to CMHC, housing starts are at a super low number. Going back just 2 years ago, even as we're coming out of the pandemic in 2022, we still had roughly 262,000 housing starts. Then last year, that dropped to 240,000. And this year, we're expected to only hit 232,000, meaning that as interest rates start to go down and affordability starts to increase, that we haven't been building enough to make up for the amount of immigration that we've taken in. So things will eventually start to pick up. But hey, That's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks so much for tuning in again. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.